Season 2, Episode 17 of the Me and ADHD podcast. Today's episode is about a topic I think many people need to listen to, including myself, if I'm honest. It's stepping out of your comfort zone and pursuing your dreams, which is a big wall in front of me, stopping me from doing that. So this is going to be a good one today. And with me today is Jenna Knight, certified ADHD coach, owner of Never Defeated Coaching, and specialising in coaching women with ADHD. So welcome to the show, Jenna.
Thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
No, I'm glad you're here. I'm absolutely glad you're here.
Cool. It's pretty cool. So,
from the other side of the pond.
Yeah, I'm in the U.S. And I'm in Massachusetts. Very cold Massachusetts right now. So.
It's yeah, we're damp and miserable over here. Not too cold, but just damp and miserable. Right, so Jenna, so kicking it off then. Okay, so what was your education and life like before you were diagnosed?
I can say I was very, very blessed. My mom was my advocate. But let me step back for a second. Before I was diagnosed with ADHD, I was diagnosed with a learning disability, specifically, it was in reading and math, but also I was born pigeon-toed, so my feet went like this. So I wore braces for, maybe I was 6, the last time I remember. So I was in special gym classes. To make a long story short, my mother made sure that I got the education that I needed. I had IEPs, which is individual educational plans, for special education here in the United States. She made sure of it, and she made sure that I was getting the assistance that I needed. And yeah, she was Darren, you would have loved my mom. Everybody says I am just like her. And I'm like, yeah, I'm very proud of that. And also she was very involved in my school. She was in the PTA. I forgot even what that stands for now, but she was really involved in a little bit of everything. I can remember one year, it was Halloween, and I went to Package Art School, and I can still remember seeing this, right? We had, you go up the stairs, it was like a little Halloween type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So my mother took a doll off of head off of one of my dolls. She made spaghetti for brains. She wanted people. I'm like, Mom, really? You're embarrassing me. I was like 10. Mom, you're embarrassing me. Mom, really? No. And then also I was in a group called Campfire Girls, and it's a group that empowers young women to just become great women in adulthood. They had Marian's camp that I went to every year. That was so awesome. Unfortunately, that got shut down many, many years ago. Yeah. So overall, it wasn't too bad at all. It really wasn't. I know I was really grateful for what my mom did for me. And to make a long story short, so when I got diagnosed with ADHD, my doctor wanted me, because we have a law out here, it's called Chapter 766. I think that's it. I'm not even too sure. Don't quote me. But it made sure that every child who had a disability in Massachusetts got an education. Okay. Excellent. So I called the Auburn Public Schools and I told them who I was. Well, we have them, but we got to go in the archives. She's like, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of boxes down in the cellar, full of all student stuff. We'll see if it's there or not. Okay. So about a week later, I get a call, and it was the Auburn Public Schools. We found it. I'm like, you really? After it was like 30 something years, even plus, really? So I went there, and I went to the admin building, and I rang the little bell, and this lady comes out. And I told her my name. She comes around and gives me a great big hug. I'm looking at this lady like, who are you? I know the face. I know, I knew the face, right? So she's like, you don't remember me? I'm like, to be honest, no. She's like, I'm Mrs. Sinabaldi. She was my 6th grade special education teacher. I haven't seen her in decades.
Awesome.
She remembered me. She's like, you have not changed. Your face, the face in the eyes, you look the same. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, oh my, the tears started coming. And yeah, it was just a very, very great moment, seeing her again after all these years. And, they had to do psychological evaluations on me, right?
Yeah.
To see where my levels were at with my learning and my learning disabilities, which I mentioned earlier. And in one of those reports, it says in black and white from 1977, unable to concentrate, hyperactivity, talkative, distractible. There it was in black and white. There was the ADHD symptoms. And I look at it now going, unbelievable. In 1977, but they didn't know about ADHD back then. It was called hyperkinetic disorder.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, it was. So they didn't. Not until many, many moons later. Not until 1998. Was 98? Yeah, 98. I was actually diagnosed. So yeah.
So, so how? I mean, that's incredible. I mean, not even looking at the date, 1998. That's. I mean, we've spoken before about it. That's very early compared to over here, where it was only an official diagnosis for children. In 2000, and it's officially, I think it's 2009 for adults.
Wow.
Because adults couldn't get it before then over here, so
Yep.
so yeah, so that okay, that's incredible. I mean, it's great that they actually saw that in the 70s as well. You know what I mean? As in paid attention to it to note down. But how did you feel about yourself though? Before the diagnosis, things like that, how I know you had a really great mum, and really, she was your advocate and was there with you. But from everybody else, how was it? How did you feel? Were you full of I guess positive thoughts, I should say, or?
I think I had my moments because I was an only child.
Okay.
I did have a lot of friends because my mother grew up in Auburn, so automatically my mother's friends' kids became my friends automatically. I was made fun of because I was in special education, but I still plugged along. I didn't really care. I did care a little bit that people made fun of me, but now I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, the reason why you did this because you had low self-esteem of yourself. So I kind of looking back at it like, but you know what? It's kind of interesting. The people who made fun of me back then, I have seen them, and it's like, whoa, really? What matter of fact, one of them is a lawyer, and I needed to get some legal advice about something, and I knew the name, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together, right?
Okay.
So I go in, and wouldn't you know, it was him. Haven't seen him in decades. He looked at the name and he looked at me. He's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, well, hi, Yeah. So it's kind of, we were kids. That's what kids do back then. But otherwise, I didn't have really a bad life. I had friends, but one of my things I loved to do was read. I was such a bookworm. Still am to this day. I would have, if me and my mom were going out somewhere, I would have to have a book with me. And my favorite books were Nancy Drew, Trixie Belden, and oh, I think it was the Bobbsey twins. I'm showing my age. I'm really showing my age right now. So I had to have a book with me at all times. Doesn't matter if I've read it already, I would bring a book. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
No, I mean, it does warm my heart that you had a good childhood, because for many it doesn't go that way, so it's nice to hear that there are, people out there that, have witnessed a positive life.
Yep. When
So
I was I was a teenager, that was a whole nother. Don't want to talk about that one, but yeah, it didn't go well for me when I was a teenager. It's, the drugs, started partying, and mess. I was a hot mess. Hot mess.
so does that go hand in hand with the schooling as well, with the education as you got older? So a bit in high school, things are very different, or
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like high school at all. But my mother still tried to get me the education that I needed. I still got the IEP, the individual educational plans, but I really didn't care about school back then. My mind, I was still undiagnosed, so my mind was going this way, that way, this way, forwards, backwards. I was just, like I said, I was a hot mess. Getting involved with drugs, alcohol, crime. Yeah. So it wasn't
yeah. I mean, that's
typical.
I guess yeah, it's the life of very many ADHDers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, obviously, who haven't had the support and the diagnosis and all that. So undiagnosed, running with whatever thoughts and that are going around in their heads and getting that dopamine high from somewhere. But I mean, with your education as you were older, did that suffer? I know you said you hate school. Did that suffer as well? Your education in that time?
Well, after high school, I ended up having my first daughter at 19. I was 19 going on 20. And then I got into, that's when my life went, zoop. That's when I really got into heavy drugs. And it just, I went downhill from there. And then 4 years later, I got pregnant again with baby number 2. My youngest daughter, who is she's my pride and joy. And then my mom passed away in 95 from cancer. So she
Nice.
left. Oh, I want to mention, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. I am a recovering drug addict. I will be clean and sober almost 30 years. October 4th is my day.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So my mother left me, you ready for this one? $20,000 in inheritance. Guess what I did? Yes. In 6 months, I smoked it all on crack. Gone. Now, my godfather was my beneficiary, right? So he kind of knew something was up with me, but he didn't say anything. Because at that time, you really think a drug addict will really listen? Yeah, no, I don't think so. So my thing was $500. I needed $500 to go to New York to get a haircut. I needed $500 to get a new jacket. And I just gave you $500 to get you a jacket. Well, I saw a homeless person and they needed a jacket, so I came up with every excuse under the sun. But that's what drug addicts do. And then I just got bored with it. I mean, he knew that I was on something. My weight was changing. My weight was I looked, my whole face was sunken in. You could see it in my hair. My hair was really, it was coming. I was just not a good look. You wouldn't even recognize me from back then to now. You'd be like, is that the same person? So when I got sober, I just got sick of, and I'm still undiagnosed now. I got sick of doing the same repetitive, the impulsiveness of, okay, we got to get up, we got to hustle to get $20 so we can get the drug. And I was just sick of that life. I was bored with it. I get bored, believe it or not. Yeah, you can. And I was done. A year later, I started my college career. I went to Coachville Community College and I majored in human services. At that time, I wanted to become a drug counselor. That was
Okay.
my goal, but that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So, which led up to my diagnosis. I was taking an abnormal psychology class. This was in the spring of 1998.
Okay.
And it was, this professor had a Ph.D., right? So she should know, really, about accommodation. She should know all about that, right? Anyways, she wasn't bringing my test down to the Disability Services office. And the director of this office and her and me met constantly. Why am I failing? Well, hello, and it would just end up to be a real crap show. So it finally ended up where she would, instead of me getting a letter grade, I would get a pass fail. Good. Either way, it wouldn't affect my GPA. And she promised that she would bring the final exam down to the DSO office. And I studied. I knew everything about every abnormal every mental disorder in the DSM-5. I knew everything backwards, forwards, the medication, everything. I was ready. So the day of the final comes, guess what wasn't there? The test. Oh, yeah.
That's not good.
No, it wasn't. Oh, not for her, it wasn't. Oh, no. I could have gone to I could have gone to where the room was to get the exam, but no, not in my ADHD brain. No, I was in her office, was only like 2 or 3 doors down from the DSO. So there was no excuse. So I sat there in front of her door, went downstairs, had a couple cigarettes every once in a while. And I waited for her. Excuse me. You're going to love this one.
I don't doubt that.
So it was that time, and I heard somebody walking up the stairs, and it was her. I still laugh about it now.
I dread to ask.
He looked at me. It says, Miss Knight, I am so sorry I forgot. You're sorry? I let her have it. I was so loud, so obnoxious that they could hear me down the hall, around the corner, in the president's office. I was, you know, those cartoons where you see the little fire come out of their ears and eyes? That was me. They called campus security on me. Oh, yay! Because I was threatening this professor. Yes, I was. I'll admit it. I was threatening her because she forgot to she promised me something. So then they called the director of disability services office. Yeah. Here comes Marion. Uh-oh. She's like, you could go either with them, campus security. I wouldn't get arrested for, I think, like assault or something crazy like that. Or you could go down to my office and just wait for me there. Fine. I stomped my little thing. So I ended up getting a fail. I took it again that summer and I aced it. Anyways, so when she came back down, she handed me like a sheet of paper like this, and it was one of those the original adult ADHD self-screening. What is this? I'm like, I didn't want to take this thing. I'm mad. I was still ranting and raving. So she said, just shut up and take it. Fine. And it was on a scale from 1 to 5. And of course, on every single statement, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. And she looks at me and says, I think you have ADHD. I just started crying. You know, it was just kind of a wake-up call, like, holy crap, really? So back then, it was really easy to get an appointment with a doctor. So that next day, or I don't remember how many days passed, but I went to UMass, and I was officially diagnosed with, I think I was 20, I was 28. And I was diagnosed with the severest type of ADHD this doctor has ever seen in his whole entire life. I looked at him, I'm like, oh, you're insulting me? I started picking up my backpack and started walking out the door because I thought he was insulting me. And he's like, no, it's okay. Because of my substance abuse, I made the impulsivity part of my ADHD, in the hyperactivity part, I should say, be both 10 times worse because of my drug addiction. I'm like, whoa. And then they asked me for that paperwork I told you guys earlier about, and there it was. And they gave me Ritalin, and everything in my head just stopped. The racing thoughts, I could focus. And I thought it was funny because I just went on a laughing spree because racing thoughts, gone. Not hyperactivity, no hyper, gone. Impulsivity, gone. Everything I was feeling a few days before was gone. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I ended up with the giggles.
I'm sure you did.
And people looking at me, and I have like this real obnoxious laugh. And people looking at me going, are you okay, Jen? Jen, are you okay? Jen, really? And I kept on doing, yeah. So that if I kind of see it, back then I was mad, you know, but back then I kind of see that as a blessing that, hey, if it wasn't for that professor being a jerk, would I have ever been diagnosed? Probably, I don't know. I I can't say. But um when I now that I think about it, yeah, it was a blessing in disguise. That that situation happened at that time, at that moment in my life, and the disability director giving me that self-assessment, she saved my life. She really, really did.
Just that one moment just turned the life all around.
Yep. That one, and that's when you couldn't stop me. You could not stop me from that. Mm-mm.
So how did it make you feel then? All right. So when you got diagnosed, all right, you've gone away, you got diagnosed. How did that now then just change the narrative of your life?
I was scared because I didn't know anything about coaching. I didn't know anything about it. So I did go to the Worcester Public Library. I took books out on it. The first book I read was Driven to Distraction by Dr. Hallowell. And I was like, yeah, this makes sense. So, and I looked on the internet for like strategies for my specific symptoms, and it was all trial and error. But one thing, I felt alone.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was the only one who had it. Nobody understood me. Nobody. So I went through a phase when I started, when I got my bachelor's degree. I just felt very alone because nobody got me. No one understood it. I was still trying to manage my symptoms. Don't get me wrong. I do have my moments still with my ADHD, you know, but that's going to be me for the rest of my life. But I know how to manage them, you know. Um, but I went right through, and I kept on studying. I kept on reading, and just kept on going. And then I got involved with local politics, and that was a whole thing in itself. And that's where I met a friend, and he introduced me to this state agency called Mass Rehab Commission. Now it's called Massability.
Okay.
So, and he said, "Oh, you might be interested in this." And this is two parts. It was called the Statewide Rehabilitation Commission. Council, sorry. Oops. And they kind of saw like the budget, other things that, MRC does. Well, let me, Mass Rehab helps people with disabilities get jobs with their education. They help resume writing, job skills, a whole bunch of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and they were helping me too with school. They helped me when I was at Quincy and when I was at Worcester State. They helped with my tuition and stuff. So I started attending these meetings. And then there was another group called the LD ADHD Task Force. Well, right up my alley. Hello. And I was introduced to this woman named Angelica. And I started going to these meetings, and I'm like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is my home, and our group made sure that MRC's services were being provided to everybody, just not just, the people that they want to serve. We made sure that people with learning disabilities and ADHD were getting the services that everybody else was getting. Yeah, they didn't like us too much at the end, especially with me. So, yeah, we started a support group for adults with ADHD in the Boston area. It was funded by some people, by another department, and that's all we did. We looked at it. There's so much that we did for so many years. And then one year, I think it was 2007, Angelica said she was retiring. Now, Angelica told me everything I needed to know working for a bureaucracy of a state agency. Because I can remember I was in one of those statewide rehab meetings and I wanted to, and she just looked at me and shook her head and said, no, you just listen and watch how everything falls. I'm like, okay, fine. So in 2007, she said she was retiring and she wanted me to take over. I'm like, oh, no. She's like, you're the only one who can do it. You're the only one I can trust to do it. Okay. So I took over in 2007. From 2007 until 2014, I was the chair of this task force. Then it became a subcommittee. But yeah, and in my tenure, we did a needs assessment survey. We wanted to look at what are the needs of the consumers with learning disabilities and ADHD. We did a study on Massachusetts colleges and how much they knew about ADHD, which the results really shocked me. I still have the report somewhere. We also did a training for the VR counselors, vocational rehab counselors, on LD and ADHD. I worked with the training department on that. And as soon as it went live on their system, we had 120 people signed up statewide. 120. I'm like, oh, darn, really? I was like, yes. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that meant even though I wasn't, doing the front end stuff, I did the back end stuff, making sure, okay, what do we want? I worked with my team. What do we think that they want to learn? All this kind of background stuff. Yeah, I did that for years. Now, fast forward to 2000 and I want to back up first. Was it? Okay, back up. Was Angelica? No. Well, I don't remember, but at one of my meetings, there was this woman who came in who was interested in knowing what we did. Okay. She said she was an ADHD coach. Ding! Light bulb. And at that time, I have always been interested in becoming self-employed. Always. It doesn't. So, I wanted to get inside her head. What is ADHD coaching? So me and her met, and I was very intrigued. So fast forward to like 2011, I actually started putting 2010. I started putting my business plan together. I was going to do a, what was it? Like an information and referral service. However, working for Mass Rehab, I got to see that there wasn't a lot of services for adults in Massachusetts. So I'm like, wow, that is kind of insane. So, and that's when I decided to become an ADHD coach.
So that's your main reason to do the coaching, because there wasn't really much about.
No, there wasn't. There still isn't. So I was putting my business together and still trying to run the subcommittee at the same time, which was, trying to juggle things. It was a lot, but I am not afraid of hard work. So in in 2014, that's when kind of things hit the fan. It wasn't good. There's a couple new people on there. They were doing their own thing behind my back, different studies, different work. When I told them when they came in, if you want to work on something, or please let me know. I could put it on our agenda. We could talk about it. We can discuss it. We can move it forward. Nope. They kept on going behind my back, and I knew about it because people like to talk. So December of 2014, by this time I'm still doing my business. I'm getting clients type of thing. So I'm juggling both. And there they were talking behind my back again. And I said, you know what? No. You can take this job and put it where the sun doesn't shine. I quit. And it was around the holidays. It was really rough. It's sad that's happened to me. But I was going to persevere. I wasn't going to let them win. They think they got the best of me. Yeah, no. So that January 2015, I actually wrote my letter of resignation, and I never returned to Mass Rehab at all. Nope, I was good. But I did have a good run there. I made some very, very powerful moves. The needs assessment, the college report, the training for the counselors, the adult support group. Oh yeah, I was all over it. So
That's a lot.
my legacy still lies in there somewhere in those files. I have the files still, and I look back on. But that summer, was it the summer? In June. They usually have a consumer conference, and it was in Norwood. And I'm like, you know what? My business is just starting out. Let's see who. Let me set up a networking table. So I came up with my own flyers and all this stuff, and my table looked great. Well, guess who I saw there? Those two people. And and they saw me. They walked around the other table so they didn't have to say anything to me. So I was there with this nice grin on my face and saying, you did not break me. You thought you could, but you didn't. There has been a lot of people in my life who try to break me, who tried to bring me down. Well, no, nope, you can't do it. Too bad.
Good for you. Absolutely good for you.
Yep.
It's rife in the ADHD world, as well as all the neurodiversity and the rest. But there's a lot of people out there who have got nothing but negative comments and negative feedback and just negativity thrown at them all the time. And it's nice. It's nice to hear that you've got this resilience, that you've just kind of, in a sense, just battered it away and said, no, you're not gonna do that to me. I will succeed. I will carry on, and I will do what I've got to do. I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
That's the only way to live. I mean, people who try to do stuff to you, I mean, that's on them. They must be suffering in some way. I think it has a lot to do with my faith. I am a Buddhist, and I belong to an organization called Soka Gakkai International, um, where we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to overcome obstacles, help us with the goals. And that has really changed my life forever. When I was getting my master's degree, my husband passed away. It was in August of 2019. And talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. And people are like, well, what are you going to do about school? What are you going to, I'm like, I don't know at that point, but I can remember my husband telling me, don't give up on school. I did take some time off to grieve, but I picked myself right up again, just brushed myself off, and I kept going. And I got my master's degree in the summer of 2021.
Again, awesome, excellent. That's a huge achievement. Going through all that, with all that sort of behind you and all that against you, so to speak, to achieve that is amazing. Oh, fair play.
Now, the bad part about that was I took a turn for the worse.
Okay.
In the summer of COVID 2020, I was moving along, but it felt like I was very like a robot almost. I felt like very slow. I was still trying to do school, and that's when I decided to take some time off, and come back, stronger than ever. I don't know. I was suicidal. I became very, very, I had suicidal ideations so bad that I came this close. However, I started seeing therapists years before that, and I called her. That's the right thing to do. So, and if anybody feels like they're in that same situation I was, reach out to a friend, emergency mental health, go to your local emergency room and get the help you need, because that's what I did. And
Absolutely.
So they put me in a I forget what they called it. It was like a 4-week program just to learn some skills again, right? So I went through the program. It was still COVID. And at the very end, I had the biggest aha moment of my life. And I asked them, I'm like, is it normal to feel suicidal when you lose a loved one? They're like, it is so common. I didn't know that you could get like that. No one told me this. So yeah, and that's when I came out going, holy crap, wow. I came back with the skills that I needed to move forward with my life, reach out, mindfulness techniques. Techniques I already knew on how to manage my ADHD, but now I had ADHD and major depressive disorder. So the strategies kind of go hand in hand, but it was good to learn those strategies again, because I kind of lost track of them for a couple of years, because I was my husband's caregiver for years. So I
Okay.
kind of lost track of that. But I came back and I got my skills again, and I'm like, okay, here we go. You can't stop me. You can try to bring me down. Nope. Nope.
That's fabulous. That's such a good attitude. That's such a good attitude to tap into and run with. I mean, you've done all that, and you came away from there with a lot of other skills, and you're gonna run with it. Now, what took you from that kind of time and place, I guess, to where you are now, doing what you're doing now?
Well, I was always trying to keep up with clients and all that stuff, but they knew what happened. So I just stopped everything. I just stopped my whole life. And where I was living at wasn't healthy for me at all. The landlord was a jerk. It just got really messy, and I went through an eviction. And I did not know where I was gonna go, because nothing was really opening up. So, and then I found a room, and one day before I went to court, and I moved in, and that was it. And I'm like, and I'm still, I'm in all this with my housing eviction. I'm still coaching women with ADHD, and I'm still, they're still blooming, and they're still going, wow. So I don't know what made me, and then I moved from there to where I am at now, which I absolutely love. Absolutely beautiful up here. I'm in the historical district of Worcester. Beautiful. I live in a house that's built in the 1800s.
Awesome.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So I've always, even through when I was at Worcester State, I think it started when I was at Worcester State. I started really getting interested in research, and then I got the job at MRC, and I worked with the research department to do the needs assessment and the other study on the college. So that really got me, woo, and I just started doing research on my own, and there's nothing on ADHD coaching a woman. Nothing. Like, really? Really? Well, I think I'm going to change that. So, yeah. So I was just looking around at different schools, and like, well, that's okay. Nah. So, and then I found National University. It's an online school. And I absolutely love it. It's everything I wanted and need for my ADHD. And now, because now my dream, my final, I did the needs assessment, I did this, I did that, but there's one more big thing while I'm on this earth that I want to do is I want to show how that ADHD is a great treatment for people with ADHD. If I knew about it back then, when I was first diagnosed, I would have been all over it. But, there's such little services for adults, and women, and I want to do something about it. I want to prove that how it works, so, and that's where I am. So, and with National, it's not the traditional school. It is one-on-one, just like this. I have a teacher, I have assignments, and that's it. I could spend a whole nother hour praising how this model works for someone. It's unbelievable.
And what are you studying?
Psychology,
At what
of
level?
course. Of course. I love psych. I love psychology. I
And
am
at what level?
Ph.D.
That's awesome.
Who would ever thought? And when I was at Mass Rehab, they did another psych eval on me, and this woman said, this doctor said that I would not be college before I even started Quincy. She said, quote unquote, I would not be college material because my math and reading levels were too low.
And just one more time. What level and what you're studying?
PhD in psychology. I would love to see her laugh in her face.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is such a big in your face. Excellent. I love that. I love that story. That's brilliant. Oh, fair play to you. I mean, how long have you got to go?
I get another like 5 years. I still got a while to go.
Cool. No,
But
it's a
like,
PhD.
yeah, it's not a process, it's a journey. And oh, heck yeah, it's a journey. I mean, one of my final assignments for this class is I have to do a research proposal. Yay! So I'm trying to gather. I have, oh, sorry, oops. Don't fall. Oh my God. I have, they say keep journal articles, right? So I have stacks all over the place. Yeah.
Bless you. Oh, love it.
So the two final questions: what's next to me, and what
Yeah.
would I say to anyone who's listening? Just gonna continue with my business. Never giving up. Like my business says, never defeated. That's why I want my clients to feel when they come to get my services. Because my coaching signature program is called Transforming Minds, Transforming Lives. And I have. And yeah. So that, and hanging out with my beautiful 4-year-old granddaughter. So she is the apple of grandma's eye, big pain in my busky, but she's a doll.
Oh, that's great. It's so excuse me. It's so nice to hear all of the story, and to see the peaks and the troughs and everything, and to know where you are right now. It's inspiring. I mean, what you're doing and what you're still trying to do. You've got your sights set on something, and you're going, you're getting it. You're hitting your goals, I guess, along the way. That's such a positive outcome, and it's such a positive story as well.
Thank you.
And that's brilliant. And I think people will get a lot out of this, because it's hard to grasp the positive sides of things, but understanding actually, yeah, there can be a lot of positive things that come out of this. You can change things around. You don't have to listen to those people.
You don't have to listen to those negative thoughts. You can't do this. You can't do that. I procrastinate, so I can't finish the big project. I can't finish opening my mail because I get overwhelmed. Yes, you can. You just break things down into small chunks. I have it all over my blog. That's, I have everything I have written about, besides a couple of them, is all about me and what I have used over the years and what I'm still using. But like I said, I'm not perfect. You know, I'm still ADHD. I'll still have that behind me. And but don't let anybody tell you you can't, because look at me. Look at my life. Look what I did. I was a drug addict, homeless person, really, and look at me now.
That's brilliant. That is really brilliant. Well, that it's quite hard to put the words to it, because it is such an inspiring story. And I know I got a lot out of it, and I've spoken to you before, but hearing it again now, it does make me think, because like a lot of ADHDers, I'm going through things as well, and it's nice to hear this kind of positivity, and I guess too that it will help inspire me, help me to move forward with what I want to do, and how I want to do things.
Just do it.
So yeah,
Just don't. It might be scary trying new things. Oh my goodness, that too. Who would ever thought that? Uh, I can't tell you. I have, gotten, when it was ADHD Awareness Month here in the U.S., I got a proclamation from the city of Worcester, with the mayor of Worcester, and he read this proclamation. I have it hanging. I have it up on my shelf. I did that. Letting people become more aware in Worcester. Hey, it's here. There are like resources out there. It just kind of bring more awareness of it as a whole. Will people take it or leave it? I don't know. But still,
you did that.
yeah. Yep.
Everybody listen. I think you'll all agree. When you hear this, it's a great story. It's a great inspiration to your own lives. And I think we need more people like you. It can be hard for a lot of people out there, so it's good to hear some positivity, some real positivity around the journey. Guys, thank you for listening. Again, this is why I do this. I love speaking to the guests that come on here. I learn something every single time I have someone on chatting with me, and I get inspired so much by so many people, and it's put a positive spin on my life, my ADHD life, I guess, and what I want to do. And I thank everybody for sharing their stories, because it's hard to talk about it, and in front, I say in front, but knowing that more than a couple of people are going to listen, it can be hard. But you do it, and that itself is inspiring. And we need to keep talking. We need to keep talking, having the conversations, and getting down to the nitty gritty about what it's all about and how it affects us. And that's going to help to create the change that needs to be created. Thank you again, everybody. As always, be good, be kind, and remember,